Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. This morning I'm looking at a book which has come to us from ROUTLEDGE. This is an Informa Business and part of the Taylor and Francis group. The book is called An Introduction to Forensic Linguistics, now in a second edition. It's been written by Malcom Coulthard, Alison and David Wright. It's the second edition, as I say. ROUTLEDGE asked us to review this book and is delighted to do so because it's actually a book which I think is quite relevant for expert witnesses apart from anybody else, because of the nature of the work that is conducted and the sort of role that they have. Now, Elizabeth wrote the main review and we talked about the book in some details, and I'm going to add bits and pieces to it. The title of our review is Words and the Law, the well-established text on forensic linguistics, now in a new edition. Let's have a look at the book first of all, because it's available as a paperback. I think it's also available probably as a hardback, I'm not sure. There's the front of it. As I say, it's got a subtitle, the Introduction to Forensic Linguistics, then Language in Evidence. So of course it is about evidence. There is the spine. And then there is the back of the book. It's not a big book at all, second edition, as I say, part of ROUTLEDGE resources. And it does say on the back, it's the resources section. And it says it's available as an ebook as well, which is very useful to know. It runs to something like 250 pages. The index is by page numbering, so you should be able to find what you're looking for quite easily. Then there are some, obviously, references at the back, which are extremely helpful. That section there, starting on page 222, which is basically the bibliography, if you like, and a lot of substantial information here. I like the way the book's structured, because clearly what you do have is you have with each chapter you have further reading and research tasks and a conclusion, so it's logically set out as to be expected. Now, there were comments about the first edition which are mentioned there. I didn't see this book when it first came out, but I must say I'm very pleased to see it now. That's the basic blurb about the book itself and what it's all in aid of. And then we've got the front page here, and then some very short information about the two authors, sorry, the two main authors, in fact, mentioned there. The first author is actually on the previous page. I'm sorry, I missed Malcolm's name off. Sorry about that. There we go. There's the front, anyway, of the main work. Then detail about the ROUTLEDGE there. And then there's the dedication, which I always like to show, because a lot of people are involved in this production of these books. We don't review books which are not that good. So I always give 5 stars, because these are top-notch books, and rightly so. That's the contents section. See how it's structured. Nice introduction, basically. I like trial discourse. I thought that was quite useful. Again, for experts, it may be useful to know about that. It's got the linguist as expert witness right at the end, and then it's the 11th chapter is a concluding chapter. Then you've got some references in the index. And then you've got some illustrations that are included. Then some acknowledgements and publications they referred to. Then some quite important introductory points made here. And then we go straight into the work itself. It's not a difficult book to read at all, and I thought it was really very interesting. As a person who doesn't come across forensic linguistics that much in evidence, I was quite interested in seeing it. As I say, runs to 250 pages, and it's an excellent little book. And as I say, I have met at the Expert Witness Institute, and I'm on the board there, the editorial board for their publication. Hopefully this will be in their publication at some stage. I have met experts in this area, and they're all very, very knowledgeable people. So what do we say about the book? Well, we say this. As words and word meanings are at the very core and essence of the law and the practice of law, this well-established textbook on forensic linguistics should be of prime interest to every lawyer. The book's subtitle, Language in Evidence, indicates the importance of forensic linguistics and its direct relevance in almost all legal matters. In the 10 years since the first edition came out, this pioneering text has established itself as the essential introductory work of reference in this field. And Routledge, which is part of Taylor and Francis and the Informa Business, it's all linked together now, they published it in a new second edition, radically updating and containing much new material, which we're very thankful for. Following the introduction, which is new, the book continues in two parts. One deals with the language of the legal process and the other covers the language of evidence. Naturally, the book examines issues relating to the language of legal documents and of the police and law enforcement, which again is very important. There is of course much more, including a discussion of the linguist as an expert witness, which I thought would be of great interest to members of the Expert Witness Institute. There are two other areas in particular which will make intellectual property lawyers sit up and take notice: the linguistic investigation of plagiarism and authorship attribution. Attribution. Now, copycat creatives should be beware, I think, and educationalists, because the section on universities and plagiarism, I felt, which is really relatively near the beginning, I thought was very, very important. It's a big issue within the education world today, and one that's not going to go away. Now, a particularly interesting chapter concerns emergency services calls and police interviewing, which we hear about quite a lot on the television. And there are excerpts and key points in the various verbal exchanges which take place. Of course, when you're in a courtroom, it is a bit unreal in comparison with the operational work, but we try to present the information in the best way we can, bearing in mind that we are changing at the moment, and technologies that are coming in will, I think, make things a lot easier in the future. There's a lot more cameras and televisions and screens, computer screens and so forth in the courtroom. And I'm sure things are going to change quite quickly once the initial hurdles are overcome. Now, as with the famous case of the assassinated presidential candidate, Robert F. Kennedy, there's a quote here: "The call begins a process that leads to a murder inquiry." And again, I remember that day very well, and that in fact is, you can see how the whole business progressed, a dreadful day. Now, one of the fascinating aspects of this book is that it demonstrates the ways in which the techniques of forensic linguistics have been applied to actual cases. Again, I think that's a very practical piece of help for all of us as practitioners and advisors. And there's so much useful advice here, again, for the advocate in addition. Let me conclude by saying, with its objective, scholarly approach and the lucid, readable style it's adopted, this book should be in the library of every lawyer and law student. I certainly think it's one they should read. I think if you're doing the bar course, you should certainly read this. I think it's important to note the 22-page bibliography, in fact it's called references, with its wealth of the references themselves for the avid researcher, if I can put it that way. It's also quite useful, depending on what you're doing in court. When you're coming to present a case, it may well be you may need something there. If you've got a particularly crotchety judge who needs to have everything explained for her or himself. The publication date is cited at 2017. I'm reviewing this in the middle of 2017. I don't think there's a specific date for the law as stated at, but certainly you can take it that it's a 2017 publication. If we just open it up, the work of the forensic linguist is set out there. You see there's a quote, then there's an introduction, and then all the main detail of the work. Forensic phonetics is covered. The linguist as expert witness. This is important because I deal with a lot of cases involving people from other countries, and I do need to have quite often call made upon experts when it's coming to looking specifically at certain documents. It's mainly documents. And this book, again, looks at things like admissible evidence, which is very important. Altogether, I'd like to thank the authors very much indeed, Malcom, Alison and David. It's a very good book, and as I say, please get it. Once again, thank you to, should also be expressed for Taylor and Francis Group Informa Business and Routledge for keeping this book under their wing and continuing to give us such a good service with your law publications. Thank you to all concerned. Bye-bye.